No. No. Where is the sound capture going? Not where I want it to go. Nope. Sorry, folks. Just bear with me for a moment. Doing sound check here before we go live. Live. This is the most frustrating part of going live, is not having done a sound check before you go live. I'll be right back. Just been given word we've received a copyright strike. Oh no. Oh no! Oh, we're off to a great start. Welcome to Sunkworks, episode 33. Episode 33, Sunkworks. Welcome to, let me get my bearings here. We've detected video in your stream belonging to someone else. Oh man. Well, if you were here live, you saw it. We played the coffin dance. All right. What are we going to do today on Sunkworks? Let's get into the stream. Well, they yanked the power in my house today for about 60 seconds, which was amazing. I couldn't believe how quickly they got it back on. I think they did tell me at some point through notification that it was going to happen, but I never knew what day. Well, it was today. So we've had to reboot everything, and actually we're going to reboot everything one more time here because I want this to be realistic, and we've actually already solved all the problems on some stream, so it's not going to be a very interesting stream because things came up mostly in order. Anyway, I want to make sure I don't put anything on the stream that I should not put on the stream here. Hold on a minute. Let me log out of all my team sharing service things. Whatever I'm in here. I don't want you to see my timesheet either. You don't need that. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Actually, I should have the timesheet because I have a timesheet entry for recording. So we're going to put that on there, even if it's not going anywhere. Yeah, we don't have a sponsor for Sunkworks. Maybe one day. Lofty aspirations. Make sure we do a sound check before we get any further here. Let's see. 1 minute. I'm just going to put recording. Ba-doop. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Okay. Thanks, folks, for joining us on Sunkworks episode 33. So we are going to discuss today, what do we do about bootstrapping? So we're going to get there. But if we recall, last episode we were walking the premises of our Kubernetes cluster, and by that I mean we have a cluster with multiple vclusters, in fact multiple layers of vclusters deployed on it. So there is a vcluster in which you can deploy vclusters, to be as clear as I can in words. So I have this kubectx tool, which is one of the many, I'm sure there's a few different tools that you can use for switching kube contexts. This happens to be different than the one that we use at work. I have new work, by the way. I'm not going to talk about work today. But let's see. All right, so we can switch from cluster to cluster because of our OIDC configuration, which we see some errors about here, but we also can see the errors have been resolved since they were emitted after the power went out today. The machine started to come back. Everything actually came back online as soon as I made sure that the machines were actually powered up physically online. So if that happens when I'm out of town, we're going to have to deal with a few websites being down, but not anything important. There's no, I mean, it's my blog. We got here the blog, how hard can it be, static sites. We still haven't completed our how hard can it be series, but we'll save that for another day. We're not talking about static sites today. We are talking about bootstrapping cluster. And so there's a couple of different definitions of the overloaded word bootstrapping here, so I'm going to review a few of them, and this might be a good time to create a wiki page, as I'm fond of doing here. Types of bootstrapping. Let's see if there's a good spot in the wiki slot here. Oh, our wiki is not going to be online, is it? Wait, yes, it is. So we've already brought the Urbit chip back online here. Okay, so I want to probably add a page for types of, let's see, what do we have? Wiki exec, hosted cluster, cluster creation. I guess we should have a page for cluster bootstrapping, for disambiguation target, right? Cluster bootstrapping. Cluster bootstrapping a cluster. Okay, so what we're primarily talking about when we say bootstrapping a cluster is, oh, I need to make some type of adjustment there. I'm sorry about that. We made the website ugly. For KubeCon. There is a KubeCon thing here. Check out our KubeCon stuff. All right. What I'm talking about, of course, is in the documentation. If you've ever done a Flux Bootstrap here. And you probably want one of these. I'm not going to prejudice your choice, but I'll be most likely picking this one. And we are going to talk about something today that the Flux documentation perhaps undercovers. Something room for expansion, future growth and features. Maybe something for Q3 at this point, I think. We've discussed in our Flux meeting today, we had a talk about the roadmap. So there is a roadmap, which is still work in progress. I'm not going to try to point you at the pull request right now, but there will be an updated roadmap by the time anyone watches this, certainly. Given that we are already off the live stream because of our copyright strike. Anyway, so the quick story. Company closed down, Weaveworks, and we used to have this thing called cluster-bootstrap-config, which was really just a job spec. I don't know how else to say this. Is not a very complicated, like, I would like to have this feature on my cluster because it does streamline something, but we also don't bootstrap very often. So when, in relation to how often we create clusters and how important bootstrapping is, it sort of makes sense that we should be bootstrapping our own clusters if we do intend to own them. So that's what we're going to do here today, because we saw, so we have the management cluster at the top level, which we had some clusters underneath. and one cluster in particular, right, that we can... I'm actually going to do something I haven't done on stream before. Learned how to do this. So because we have vclusters on the parent cluster and we're going to have vclusters on the child cluster, this is really cool. We actually get them all in one list here if you want. This is really cool, right? And then what I'd like to see is if I connect to this cluster, well, we don't have any clusters in there. We've decided we wouldn't go that deep, right? We just create clusters inside of a cluster. Why would we create a cluster inside of a cluster inside of a cluster unless we were trying to confuse ourselves? I'm not going to be doing that. Anyway, I'm not sure who would do that. So I do want to undo that because, oops, that's not what I wanted. Excuse me. I'm back here. Sorry. I need to cough off stream. I don't want to do a cough on stream. That's extremely impolite. Even if there's no one watching. Let's see. So that's how you undo that. That's very intuitive. I'm glad the CLI does that. I had no idea if that would work. So we're going to switch to this cluster. We didn't want to use vcluster connect because that just sort of litters things into our... We've carefully curated our kube config already to have all of the clusters in it. But if we look at the vclusters on this cluster, we see that there's just the one cluster inside of this cluster. So this is a little bit easier to see. And now we're going to do, because if I show you, we try to connect to this through OIDC, we'll see there is something missing. We have to look at the cluster definition to see what I'm talking about. But we've got command failed. It looks like we have some kind of unhelpful identity that is not permitted. And I'll give you the short version here. The problem is we haven't been assigned a role through RBAC because in our cluster-bootstrap-controller there was a job that would bring in bases. And I forget exactly how this worked. But the effect is just to add a very small patch to the base Flux customization so that it pulls in some extra things, and you can load as many modules in there as you want, right? We have this bootstrap repo base, where this is not what I mean by module. I mean here in clusters bases, that's where we have our little modules. And this CordionS thing, I'm pretty sure we don't need anymore. We introduced this at one point because we were on an old version of vCluster because of issue in the vCluster CAPI provider, which is okay. We worked around it, but now we actually want to get rid of this CordionS. I feel like I'm kneecapping myself here by just removing it and not commenting it out because, well, I don't want anything to break. I'm afraid of some things that I think, frankly, we fixed bugs in Flux 2.1 or 2.0 that are not issues anymore in Flux 2.2, but issues when you have a directory with no files in it. I think hopefully we won't see that because I think we've already upgraded past where that's an issue that you might trip over, but we'll see. We're going to delete some stuff today while we're actually not just walking the premises. We are going to bootstrap a cluster. And we're going to do it not in this repo, but we have a few repos we're going to touch because Let's see which one. Fleet. Infra. So this is where the cluster is actually bootstrapped, the one that we're going to work on. And it has some things I think we're going to have to remove. Well, we'll see if it works. We're just going to try it. And if we get errors, we're going to fix them. That's what we're going to do. I don't want to remove anything out of turn here. Okay, so this is the actual repo we're going to bootstrap into, and we're going to bootstrap into this path, clusters, test, Illumino Central. But first we do need to connect to that cluster, and we can do it in spite of the error that we saw without OIDC. We can get root level cube config with that vcluster connect again. Right, and we're just going to run Control-Z, put that process in the background, and what do I do then? Okay, we see, cool, we're in the cluster. This is the inside view of the cluster, so we don't see the cluster control plane running because this is a vCluster. And I think that's the only thing, the only other thing we don't see running. We only see ChordDNS. So that's not because we patched ChordDNS, that's because ChordDNS is a native service. Although this may be the patched ChordDNS, I think it gets overwritten every time it reboots. And that was what caused the issue in the first place. So it was getting overwritten via the manifest from kubeadm. As a static manifest for ChordDNS, and it would wipe those settings out. We had to put those settings back because we were on mismatched version somehow, which we've resolved already. Let's see. Okay, so ChordDNS. So we have to do Flux Bootstrap GitHub, and why is it already going to do that? No. Let's see. Oh, so I don't want to just this time. I have this command gh token that loads a GitHub token into my GitHub token. But actually, I don't want to use that GitHub token this time. What I would like to do is pluck one from the ether. So let's go back to the parent cluster because there was something that I did want you to see in the namespace of the cluster that's running alongside of us. And who knows where, I think it's this one. So if we look at the pods here, we see there have actually been some pods running besides that one that we mentioned there and the other one. This is part of the show notes. I should have probably remembered this sooner. Okay, so every 30 minutes, this github-app-secret, which you can relate to fluxcd community, github-app-secret, been archived. Okay. This lovely tool allows us to take a GitHub app, which is a type of certificate that you can register at GitHub. Like you can create a personal access token. If you've been through these instructions, you saw the GitHub personal access token documentation. So I'm here to convince you today, because I'm not sure how else you'll get the idea, that what you want, if you're going to bootstrap a cluster, is actually a GitHub app. So that you can provision a temporary token, not a personal access token. And I'll have to delve into some detail to explain how these things are different and why you want a GitHub app and not a personal access token when you're bootstrapping. So the Flux instructions tell you to use a personal access token. They tell you you can use a GitHub personal account, or that you can use a GitHub organization. So this is as most akin to using a GitHub organization. So if you don't have a GitHub organization, you might not understand why you need an app either, right? But if you do have a GitHub organization or GitHub Enterprise, you might understand, you might already have apps authorized, and you might understand exactly why you need this. So the instructions go through a lot of different ways that you can bootstrap. Here, you can bootstrap without a personal access token. It suggests that you could generate an SSH private key and set the public key as a deploy key on GitHub in advance, which is a fine way to do configuration. But when you do that, typically you don't do that as an org, you do that as a user. And maybe you can do it as an org. But for the sake of argument's sake, most people would not think to do that as an org, or they would not have an org to do that for, or they wouldn't have permission to do that for their org. So they would be a bit mystified about how to proceed here. And I'm hoping to demystify this a little bit. This is sort of higher Flux magic, but hopefully this will be helpful for some of you. It's certainly, I found this extremely useful. I did not invent this. A colleague did. I may be forced to maintain this in the future. I say forced. I feel like I may be blessed to maintain this in the future because I need it myself, and they don't need it. They just contributed it because they saw the need. They saw that people should need something like this, but they didn't see anyone doing it, and they weren't sure why. Is it just because no one has written a convenient way to do it? What if there was a convenient way? And is this way convenient? I'm not sure if it's really convenient, but so there is a punchline here. So because this tool is no longer maintained, and it happens sometimes that there's a CVE in the Go tool chain, we may find that this actually requires a rebuild. I'm not sure how we find that out. There may already be older, right, this has been archived for some time. There may already be older signs in here that something needs to be rebuilt. And there's an argument that this doesn't require the level of scrutiny because it doesn't serve a public-facing service. I think that is not the best argument, but it is a valid way of thinking. And it is what fuels me to go on doing this here, is that it's fine because it's more secure than the other ways of doing things, and it's more sustainable. That's what you have to understand is, like, sometimes they take the power out and it comes back in 60 seconds and there's no big deal, right? But sometimes someone is removed from the loop, and removing that person from the loop has the effect because of a process that was implemented poorly, perhaps, or because of a constraint that was required to be worked around somehow. Sometimes it happens that removing someone from the loop brings the service down, and then there is no way to bring it back. Or maybe there is a way to bring it back, but there is no one readily positioned to do the thing, to bring the service back in a timely manner. And the impact is severe. And there are business consequences, potentially. There can be all different consequences when something like this happens in your service. I'm not subtweeting anyone in particular. I may be subtweeting someone. Anyway, so this is really apropos of nothing. One thing really has nothing to do with the other. So what we will see if we read the log here of this is that it generates a token. And the token happens to have scoped permission to read and write to a single repository in my org, which, lo and behold, is the Fleet Infra repo that we wish to bootstrap to. So we're about to see a secret be overwritten if we watch carefully. I'm going to get this secret off screen into, I'm not sure how to do this, but I'm just going to edit secret, and I'm going to look at the structure of the secret. All right, and we're going to, I think you can base 64 decode fields, right, in base 64 decode secret JSON fields. How can we get a good example of this? Oh, JSON. I don't really want JSON. I want JSON path, right? Template, get dash dash template, right? Okay, cool. So I'm going to, it had a username and a password field is what I saw, I think, or a user and a password field. And we're going to check user is certainly safe to emit. So if we can get, we're not going to edit this, we're going to get secret template equals data.user base 64-d. Right, it is not called user, it is called username. Yeah, and it's x-axis token. So that's certainly safe to look at here. And pb copy, we're going to get the output of password, which is actually our password, right? And do we want to pb? Do we want it? No, we don't. We don't necessarily want it in our. Well, that's as good of a place as other. It's better than on the screen. Anyway, it's going to be rotated out, and we have a copyright strike, so there's no one going to be watching us, unless maybe the stream came back online. I don't know how that works when you get a copyright strike. Do they prevent anyone from watching the entire video until? Probably. I think that's what happens. All right, so we got a secret, and it might have just been overwritten, depending on how... yeah, it hasn't been overwritten yet. I don't think the secret is invalidated immediately when it gets overwritten. We're going to test that, actually, is what I want to know. Yeah, here we go. It's about to get overwritten. So I think our secret is good for an hour, but it gets overwritten every half hour, so the secret is always good. And the secret is always getting rotated out quickly. But we'll see if the secret works, because we have one in our clipboard now. And we have a flux bootstrap command. Flux bootstrap unset GitHub token in case it's still set. Let's see. There's a good fully formed bootstrap command. Flux bootstrap GitHub owner kingdom CI repository fleet infra branch main path clusters test limno central, and we're not on the right cluster yet. We have to vcluster connect, don't we? So we'll do that real quick here. Flux bootstrap, enter our GitHub personal access token, which worked. And it looks like it did not get invalidated yet. But if we came back in an hour and tried it with this, and I'm just going to wipe it out of my clipboard now so that we don't have the opportunity. But if we came back and tried it in an hour, it would be invalidated, I think, is what we would find. So we would not be able. But what you have to understand is there's a difference here. So if you thought that you could go create a personal access token and then use that personal access token to bootstrap. Okay, so first of all, what just happened? We created a public and a private key. Here is our public key, and this public key has been added via API call using the access token to the repository. So, two things happen. One, when you use a personal access token to do this, and you provisioned it as a personal access token on your personal account, that personal access token is tied to the lifecycle of the deploy key. So if you then delete that personal access token, all bets are off. All your deploy keys get invalidated. So you can't do that. You have to maintain that personal access token as a secret. The risk is that you'll disclose it accidentally at some time later, and then whatever permissions you had at that moment will still be active. So that's why you create an app secret. That's why you create short-lived credentials, so that that risk is confined. Now, creating a new token every 30 minutes may not be ideal for your security posture. I happen to be doing it here because I had a place in the workflow where I needed to be creating clusters automatically because we've GitOps. But in your workflow, you may be vCluster creating manually, or you may be using Cappy, or you may be using a paid service like vCluster Pro. I don't know. I've never tested that. I can't tell you if it's any good. I'm sure it's good. From my testing of the free stuff, I'm sure that whatever they're selling must be better than the free stuff. So I think the free stuff is good. And I hope that someone buys what they're selling, because I want them to continue maintaining the free stuff. Selfishly. I may have to pitch in at some point here, right? Because I like this stuff and it's free, and I want it to be free for everyone. So that's genuine kingdom here. All right, so we're going to move on now. We did bootstrap. So what happened here? What I just described was what would happen if we used a personal access token and then deleted it. However, because we're using instead a temporary access token that is in the scope of an app secret, which is limited. The app, if you go and look at the way we've configured the app, it has access to one repository and it has one permission. It happens to be the repo admin permission, I'm pretty sure, is the one permission. Check me if you go to the docs. It might tell you there's one other permission. I think it's contents right and repo admin. But you do need the repo admin permission to be able to set deploy keys. And you need this because they can be persistent. So this is a persistent deploy key. So when this access token is invalidated, the app lives on. So it's not tied to the identity of a user, right? What you understand is when your user gets removed from the org, all of the personal access tokens that were associated with that user may become, I don't know how it works exactly. I'm assuming that that is how it works, or how it should work. They should become dissociated from the org. So then whatever jobs they were doing, if they used a personal access token, those jobs would just stop, which may be desirable behavior if you wish to see a person in the loop, or it may be a disaster if you thought this thing would go on running forever itself without any intervention, right? And who's to say it is or it isn't a disaster, more or less, if the thing does go on running forever. Sometimes you have the zombie Twitter account that the companies, no, it's already dead. It's still tweeting what's going on. You know, this is really a thing. I think they did fix it finally, but I jest. All right, so we did bootstrap here, and because we've used an app secret, as long as the app is provisioned, and we could throw away the certificate if we didn't think we might need to bootstrap again. As long as the app is provisioned, the deploy keys that have been created through the personal access tokens of the app will be persistent. So this is much better. than what we had before, which was a personal access token, which we could rotate, delete, or and this is better. So anyway, we see hopefully that we have Bootstrap now, and we've got some things running now. That's cool. And we've got some experiments here that I can't wait to check out again. I wonder if they're... Holy hell. Holy hell, does this stuff work? Oh man, it's online. It's online. Oh wow, that's cool. All right. Which one is auto-scaling to 0? I don't know. HTTP interceptor. Kata test. I have to come back to this stuff. I did not mean to get sidetracked by this, but this is the really cool experiment that I want to share with y'all at work, my work friends. I'm going to share this stuff with you in a different form. We're going to look at open function. I think it's safe for me to share that I'm working on open function in a very limited capacity. I'm shilling for open function because it's a nice entry point to all of the technologies that I want to look at, including Gateway API and Kata and a few others, I think. We've seen some nice entry points before. We've seen, like recently, we talked about Cozy Stack from Enix, not to be confused with Cozy Stack.io, which is a totally different thing, not at all. Or is it? Maybe it is the same Cozy Stack. I thought this was a different thing. I thought I was so confused. Wait a minute. There's a different Cozy Stack that I actually did get confused about. It was not the same Cozy Stack. If I Google for Cozy Stack, you find this is a different Cozy Stack. Yeah, not to be confused with Cozy's Cozy Stack from Cozy.io. That is a different thing, and I don't care about that one. But this one happens to be running on Talos Linux with a lot of technologies that I was probably going to make you implement, or we would need at some point, right? I'm not making anyone. I'm assuming we're doing it because we need it ourselves. So that's really cool. And this stuff I think is also really cool. Let's see. How did I do? github-app-secret, we talked about. We bootstrapped a cluster. It wasn't very painful. We could do this every time we create a new cluster. I think it wouldn't put us out that much. Bottom line. I'm not trying to say anything about anyone's productive output. Honestly, I really enjoyed cluster-bootstrap-controller, but it comes at a tremendous cost to maintain this. There's just lots of stuff that goes with it, and I'll show you the open source. I don't want to cast aspersions and not give you the link here. Let's see. Docs are down. This is really bad, right? But github.com/weaveworks is still up, and I want to show you a lot of things that have been, one thing in particular, open sourced. Now I don't know how to deploy this in standalone mode. This is, I assume it's possible to just deploy ClusterBootstrapController. I have not tried it myself, but I assume it's possible to just copy this into your cluster and run it. I guess, hopefully it is, because this stuff is all open source now. And I don't see any reason why the binary should be gated off, but I think there's a possibility that some things, like the charts, are published. Well, let's see, charts are published here. It looks like you might be able to get these charts from OCI. So if you know what you're doing, you might be able to deploy this and give it a try. I might try this later, because I really did like ClusterBootstrapController, and it is open source now. So that's really cool. But the whole Weave GitOps enterprise umbrella, I can't, unfortunately, I can't make a strong recommendation for it right now because it's not installable. It's not like you can kludge it. You can go and you can take the charts from the Git repository and install directly from them. And okay, so it does work. You do need one thing. I'll show you. You have to go. Not this one. There's a few things about the license in here, and someone has hopefully commented helpfully to point out that there is. Here we go. There is a file that you might want to delete. Here, this is the entitlement file, I think, or somewhere in here, common entitlement. So this is the certificate that they use to check is your license entitlement valid, which this is no longer a valid concept, but there aren't Weave GitOps enterprise maintainers who are doing releases right now. The company closed. So you can't, you can go and read the docs in, there's, I think this is probably not the docs, or maybe this might be somewhere. I think the docs are in, because there was a formerly open source Weave GitOps repository that this was always open source, right? And here we go, Weave GitOps website, product website, Docusaurus. So this is where the docs come from, and you can host the docs yourself here. So I don't want to give anyone the idea that you can't install Weave GitOps right now, but it's a very much do-it-yourself experience because the company closed down, and a lot of things were shut abruptly. So if you were ever a customer, I apologize for the service interruption, but we all got. I shouldn't make a joke too much about this. Anyway, I do not think that these things should be abandoned, and I hope that someone will maintain them. But I can't point at anyone and say that person should be the maintainer, right? Maybe it's you. Maybe it's you. Here we go. Maybe it's you. You should be the maintainer. Or maybe it's you. Or it could be you. Or maybe it is you. I don't know. I don't know who's going to maintain Weave GitOps, and it's not up to me to find people to do this, or to do this myself, or to participate in doing this. I can't volunteer for everything. I'm already working a job, and I have Flux duties to maintain. I'm on the maintainer team for the website and the community team, which is a lot. There's just a lot to do. Besides the regular engineering work, there's website stuff, there's KubeCon, there's an awful lot. And it's very rewarding work. I don't want to give anyone the wrong idea that I don't enjoy what I'm doing. Because I do. That's why I'm doing it. That's the only reason why I'm doing it at this point. So hopefully that's clear. Anyway, you can try all this stuff out, but I wouldn't expect it to work myself right now because I know there are a few things that broke, and one of them is the Helm repository, and the other is, I'm not sure. But those things are outside of the Flux project, so and they really have nothing to do with the subject of today, which was the app-secret thing. That hopefully you got some value out of that. So why aren't more users already following this pattern? It may be simply that we haven't tamped down the snow, and they don't perceive it as safe to walk there yet. I'm like a little bit dubious about this. Does the product need like should there be a product there? Because I always imagined that this GitHub App-Secret tool would be integrated into the greater Weave GitOps enterprise platform, but now I don't see an immediate future for that, and I don't wish to be bogged down in the politics of how do we grow an entire company around an enterprise. I like sustainable growth. I want a job next year and the year after, right? And I want the project to be maintained indefinitely into the future. I want sustainable growth. I want new maintainers who can be introduced to the team and work together to build the same vision that we've been building, the Flux GA graduated CNCF project that everyone knows and loves. So I think I've said my piece today. We did skip over one thing. We're not going to skip over too much. Let's see. Can we do... I want to see if we can build something on the stream. And we do... I think we can. It's not going to be as cool as we want. But let's see. Do we have Go? Yeah, we have Go in our path. Let's go. Looks like we've got lots of stuff in our Go bin and package. So we probably can build some stuff. Yeah, there's Go. All right. So I wanted to build from my fork. I wanted to change some things. Kingdom B github-app-secret. And I think that you might want to do this too, because I don't know if I would trust. I mean, I know they say not to implement your own cryptography, and that's not what we've done here. But I don't know if I would trust. Like, this is a real position of I kind of want to read the code and compile it myself, because this is a very sensitive position here. Who gets to make deploy keys in the Bootstrap repo or the Fleet repo? Right? It's the Fleet repo. It's the central place where all of the Fleet is managed from. So it's the keys to the kingdom. If you bootstrap in here, you can put malicious code in. So don't just let anyone do it, right? They need to know what they're doing well enough to stop someone else from getting in, at least. So I trust this code, and I trust it extra because it's archived. So now, if anyone finds anything wrong with it, I don't know. It says we're behind here. Let's catch up. Well, maybe we'll find something wrong with it. I don't want to trust it just because it's here. And I heard a rumor that there was some kind of Go CVE, so it's time to upgrade your Go version. And I think it's got a workflow, so we can probably just tag a new version. It won't be a big deal to release. Let's see. What Go version is the latest right now? 122. Cool. We'll get Go 122 going in here. Let's see. Go version. Do we have 122? Yeah, we do. It's not the latest 122, but that's okay, because we're not going to publish the release from our desktop. We're going to publish it from a workflow. Let's see. I don't know if you have a folder called W or like projects or work or something that you have in your home directory, so you don't have to look at all the garbage that's piled up everywhere in your home directory. I don't know if that's just a me thing. It's where I put all the important work that I have to do immediately or soon. In it should be all near the top of the W tree. Kingdom B GitHub App Secret. I know the GHCLI. I already have the GHCLI. I could make these things shorter. It's really nice. All right, let's see. So we're going to use 122. And what else do we need in here? I know we want to run like go mod update, right? But we're going to do one thing at a time. I want to test if the build works. Make, so let's see, what does the make file have in it? It's got build, which is all. It's got go fmt, go vet, go tidy, go mod tidy. Yeah. Build, test, co-build. We're using co to build images. Co is really nice because it's very easy. You don't have to really do anything. Let's see, is there even a Docker file in here? No, there's not. It's just a single binary, right? I don't know what it is exactly, but it does very little. It's just a container to run this one binary. It's not a big nightmare. I hope. We'll probably open up this tar file and see what's actually inside the container. That's what I'd like to do. It's always time to do another mic check. Make sure we are actually talking to the internet and not spinning our wheels here. All right, so it says on push tags. So this should be really easy. We're not going to push a tag until we do the mod update. We're going to go build. I think you can just run go build to do. And what is a scanning tool? Let's see. Go build CV scanning tool. How to scan your Golang build. Vulnerability management. Go vuln check. Oh. Oh Lord. We lost the display. What is happening? What is happening? Are we okay? No. No, we lost the display. Hold on a minute. We lost the display, but now it's back. Okay. We're about to do something important. We're reading the manual, and it says, this is the Go manual. Go blog vuln if you don't know how to check your software for vulnerabilities in your language of choice. You should learn. So let's see, what do we find? Is it time? Of course, it's time. There's lots of packages in here. This is such a small program, but it has 3 vulnerabilities. We have to do something about this. Found in, fixed in. All right, we have to update Go. Can we just... Well, we can't do that from this user. Let's see. Can I do that? Yeah, cd github-app-secret. All right, so we're going to do a few things here. We are going to run go mod update. No, that's not how you do it. Go. Damn. Go get -u. And hopefully we're not pulling in anything that's going to break this. Excuse me. Hopefully we're not pulling in any updates that are going to break what we have here. I don't know if there's any breaking changes in here or how to check for that. I usually just YOLO and then see what broke in the tests, if you have tests. Do we have tests? No, there's no tests. Is there... There is tests. Well, that's great. So we have to run the test to see. Missing go.sum entry for providing package imported by to add go get. We want to change mod fluxcd community to our own name here. Right. We are going to commit some stuff. And we've got lots of updates here. We're going to defer those because we haven't reviewed them yet. So we don't know if this is good. Go.mod though, we want to split. We want to take that top thing and definitely include that. And we'll leave the rest out. I think we can type Q to be done. And we want to commit this. And it's take ownership of fork. This, whenever a business person tells me, you can't tell people they need to fork the project, I feel so maddened. Because it's like you don't understand us. We do. Well, we actually need you to fork the project. We need you to fork the project and prove that you can own it before we can do something like point a website at you that everyone is going to trust. We don't know you from a hole in the ground. And I'm sorry to all the people who volunteered. I know you all mean well. I can't be at the center of it all. I can't endorse this. I'm happy for y'all. I hope y'all have lots of fun doing this. I'm going to own a very small fork of a Go. This is my speed, right? I don't do Go programming very often. So it's not for me to go and maintain some giant React Go framework machine template monster. Like, no way. I'm going to build something simple. I'm not sure what it's going to look like yet, but it's going to be a lot simpler, so I can understand it all. And sorry, that's just what everyone's been telling me for the last longer than 3 years. I'm not sure how long that goes back, but Go mod update. So we're going to try this. Going to make, we actually need to change the default. How do you do that? I'm not sure. We're going to check in settings. Can I decouple this from the thing that it forked from, or do I need to actually make my own repo? Here we've got transfer ownership. I want to see, where do pull requests go by default? They should not go to the base, which is archived. Allow rebase merging, allow merge commits, allow squash merging. Automatically delete head branches. I don't think any of that is what I'm looking for. All right, I think what I actually have to do is delete my fork and then create a new repo called github-app-secret and push the main branch and go mod update to it. I think that's what we do. Let's give that a shot. Okay. I believe we're going to do that. Wait a minute. Need my phone for this. Good thing I have my phone. Oh, very nice. Very nice. I'm sorry, we just lost the screen again. What's happening? OBS display link. Oh no. I'll be right back. Are we on a new broadcast? Or are we still streaming? It says live. It still says live. Are we on a... All right, it's working. It's working. Okay. All right. Phew. Okay. All right. So I wanted to make sure we got all of our goals accomplished today. We don't usually get all of our goals accomplished, but I'm going on vacation, so I have to make sure I knock some things out first. I'm actually going on vacation for a week, so you won't hear from me next week. But you will definitely hear from me the week of KubeCon. I will try to... I'm not going to have all my stuff with me. I'm going to go to Paris. So it'll probably not be as grand as this. You know, the whole presenter style and everything. All right, so let's not get derailed here. We have to create a new repository called github-app-secret. Are we going to create it in the... Why don't we create it in the org? Let's see. The original is fluxcd. And we're just going to call it originally fluxcd community GitHub app secret. So I recommend you also maintain this. That's what I think. But I'll do it in public in case it saves some of us time. That's I think how the deal is usually made to become a maintainer. Is I need this thing, and I don't see anyone else who is about to maintain the thing. So I guess I'll maintain the thing, and I might be willing to share. I think that's how it goes, right? Git remote add Kingdom. Oh, damn it. Every time, guys. What's going on? I think we're overheating this thing. I don't know. Is that what's going on? I want to power cycle it at least. I am still here, and it seems like we might have to call it before. I'm going to try one more time. GitHub app secret. I want to make sure the main branch is the first one that you push, or else you'll find out that you have a weird default branch, and then you want to do git push origin, no, Kingdom CI. Let's do git remote rm origin, rename Kingdom CI origin, so we don't have any confusion. Go mod update. Let's try this again. Okay. I think we already have Dependabot here. We're going to have to make one more change. Kingdom B. Yeah, okay. So we don't have to trust an individual here. I'm sure this makes it much more trustworthy to make it an org. And we're just going to merge this without testing. But just let it be said, for the record, it doesn't happen without someone doing this, right? You actually, if you want to rescue Weave GitOps, you can do it as WeaveWorks, but who's going to pay you to do it as WeaveWorks? You have to give it a name of your own if you want it to be owned by whoever's doing the work. If you're not WeaveWorks doing the work, why would you do it without rebranding? I mean, maybe there's some kind of community cohesion thing to be kept, but I just feel like you're going to get taken advantage of by bankruptcy administrators and lawyers, whoever's owns the rights to all the things named WeaveWorks. It's not me. That's it. That's all. It's not the CNCF. Maybe one day it will be donated to them, but it will be under the aegis of some company who's supposed to take responsibility for these things. And I'm sorry to say I can't do it right now. I have to go on vacation. So maybe when I come back, but probably not that soon, and maybe never. I don't know. This is not a forward-looking statement. But this one thing I do intend to take ownership of today. Set upstream origin main. Go get -u. Make build. No, does not like go.sum entry for module providing package. All right, maybe we just have to do the commands that it says to do. I don't want that one though. Main, github-app-secret main.go. Right, this should say Kingdom CI because we're going to use our own. That's good. We'll need that though. And we might need this. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to do it because the command says to do it. Is that the same thing twice? Can I do make build now? No required module provides. This is another thing here. Well, we've got our test file has the same issue. Flux CD community Kingdom CI. Yeah, so I do actually think there's something make tidy that actually gets better when you have an org, and I don't want to diminish the message that it's important to try to form the team before you do the work. I think that's a good signal here, and I'm going to quote Alexis Richardson. This is a paraphrase of him, but he did say that, and it makes a lot of sense to me. But also, right, forming a team is an active. I don't know how else to say. I'm not going to be joining this time. I can't fit myself. I can't fit it in right now. I have maybe next time. And I'm not talking to anyone in particular. And I might never clean up the copyright strike because this whole conversation is embarrassing and I don't want to share it with anyone. But here we are. So how do you do versioning in your Go app? Do you just tag it and move on? I'm not sure if I need to know anything other than just tag it and move on. That would be great. Make test. Test pass. That's amazing. Let's see, what was the last tagged version? We want to continue the versioning from where? Oh, there was only one tagged version, it looks like. Was it even tagged as a version? I don't know. I don't see a tag in here. It might be that it was never versioned as such. Cron job. Latest. There you go. All right. All right, so we have to fix the manifest as well. And we might as well grep the entire directory to see is there anything else that says flux cd community. No. All right, and the tag should start with V, it says. And I guess v0.0.1 is an appropriate version to express my feelings about how ready I am to begin maintaining this thing. So I'm just going to do it right now. For 0.0.1. I think I can tag v0.0.1 and push it. I want to make sure that the well, it's not a fork of anything, so we should probably have actions enabled, but let's make sure that actions are enabled before we depend on them. Allow all actions and reusable workflows. Allow. Okay, let's try it. Git tag, git push origin. Does it work? We got an error. Ah. We want to go 122. We want to go 122 there as well. Wait a minute. Got to start with a V. All right, I'll be right back. Hopefully the screen doesn't cut out while I'm away. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Did it work? It looks like it's working. It might be working. At least the build worked. What does all of this say? What about our go vuln check? Didn't we do? We wanted to do that. Not quite there yet. All right. Well, let's see. What is going on here? Is it building? Does it use cache? Is it going to cache? Will it be faster next time? I think so. That's what is nice here, is this is not a complicated build script that I wrote. This is a nice co-published script that I think is from some upstream that I trust. I'm not sure who it was copied from, but it looks like it's building a multi-arch image, which is important. And I did not have to do much to get that, I think. And it looks like it is publishing the image now. And that is all done, which is awesome. Well, let's see. Are we all done? What happens now? I want to protect the main branch because it looks like we have published a release. And so we should definitely have a protected main branch. Wait a minute. Rule sets. I just want to protect the main branch. Holy hell. Branches. Bypass list. When did this get so complicated? All right. Active. Rules will be enforced. Protect main. Exempt roles. Bypass list is empty. Target branch. Include the default branch. Rules. Restrict deletions. Require a pull request before merging. That sounds good. Require status checks to pass. I'm not going to do that. Restrict commit metadata. Restrict branch names. I don't think I want any of that. I think that's all done. Does that warning go away? All right. What other warnings we got? Let's get rid of them. Bump, go, Uber, zap. Is this still relevant? Let's see. Dependabot rebase. It looks like it's going to help us with our git merge. Let's see. Let's get all these rebased here. We'll get this one rebased at least. Let's see, any of these dropping out? I think I want that one first. Oh, I have to, can I just merge like this? It is in a pull request, so I should be able to. Yeah, oh man, here we go. Here we go again. I'll tell you what. I'm going to do the rest of this off stream. Nobody wants to watch this stuff. All right, my screen did crash one more time for the record, so maybe this display link thing is not so good. I'm going to unplug it before I leave for Europe and for Michigan because I don't want to burn the house down. And I'm afraid of why it does this. I don't know if there's something wrong, but I guess I better step away from my desk before I burn the place down. hopefully, hopefully y'all enjoyed, or y'all enjoying Sunkworks, and we do break things from time to time. Let's see. I can't even see. Here we go. Like, I'm trying to see a little bit more of my list of. Here we go. Go to full screen camera. I want to say goodbye for the weekend. It's gonna be a long weekend. I'll see you after KubeCon, or I'll see you at KubeCon if you're coming. Hopefully, I'll meet lots of new friends there in Paris. Yay! See you next time.